Center for Wooden Boats draws thousands of visitors to its docks each year to see and use boats that link them to a long legacy of wooden boat building on Lake Union. The oral history project, History of the Craft, captured Lake Union shipwright experiences and perspectives on the topic of craft and its preservation in the community. We started the conversation with local shipwrights by asking the overarching question, what is craft? Here you'll find a few of those answers.
Then the other machine we have from Blanchard Boat Company is the duplicating shaper. Okay. You wouldn't have to hammer a couple nails, would you, Joe? Just to have something to run this through. So duplicating shaper, we can make numerous parts off the same pattern. So that just gives us a cut where you have to duplicate a cut. So if we're doing multiple pieces like deck beams or frames or components in a boat, we'll rough cut it in the big bandsaw, bring it over this. Basically what I have here is a joiner head standing vertical. Comes up flush with this little guide on the table. Allows us to run multiple pieces. So the guide here is set up flush with the knife. So we put a pattern on it. Anything sticking over the pattern gets buzzed off flush. We'd have another perfect piece. Craft is something you have here. It's something we don't have that's internal. And some people have a need to express it, and other people have a need to possess it. I mean, to own it. So craft it's partially pride, the pride you take in your work. Skill is definitely a part of it. It's just something that's almost, I don't know, to different people it can mean different things. I mean, people coming in the door, coming into school will see that, and it comes down to pride. When you build something, it's a piece of you. And you look at one of these things, and students take that pride. In fact, we just were discussing this morning we had our student assembly this morning where we recognized all the people that are graduating. And the way I kind of explained it was like, one of the things I really enjoyed in the trade is when you worked on a boat and you see that boat out going by, that you just like, that's a piece of me. I did that. That's mine. It's like, and I kind of miss that part now because I'm not in the trade anymore and that building part of it. But now I get even more satisfaction because I can say, look, these students of mine just built that boat. And now I get to see the people in the shops that are doing what I used to do. And in most respects, it's more satisfying. But there's still this one like, I wanted to do that too. So it's an emotional part of this, not just the skill and all the mechanics. It's part of that. I did that. That part of the craft of what we do.
No, strip planking, this is what we call by strip planking. It's strips of wood, and we make planking out of it. And as you can see on the ends, see, now you can see, I'll leave the cracks apart for you. So that's how it fits together. And there's a glued and they'll be fastened. The nail, the bronze ring nail, goes from here halfway down into that one. And as you go around the curves, see how you can go around a curve? So that's how you would fasten it again. Then you would just ferret this a little bit out to ferret for the planking. There was a lot of this done in the early to mid 50s. The Sierra was that way. Then later on they made it hard chine and called it Thunderbird. But they were all built this way in the 50s, and they're all still going well. And they were never any type of anything except paint on them.
You had also started talking about the story regarding Bill Garden's designs.
I don't know if you'd like to have this published or not, but he designed a flare that was enormous flare. And Russ Richardson, who was the head loftsmith at that particular time, said to me, he says, we can't build that. It just isn't going to work. It's because of the way that we bent the oak frames, it was a plank boat. So he took a full 12 inches out of the flare. In other words, instead of being very sharp, that middle part, we took 12 inches out of it. When the boat was finished and done, I was standing here, Richards was standing there, Norm Blanchard was there, the owners were there, Garden was there, and we're all in the bow looking up. And Garden says, that's exactly the way I drew it out. That's exactly the way I want it. And Russ, please hand over my mouth. I think a craft is something that you obviously construct as with your hands and mind. Mind directs the hands. But a craft is something that you start from scratch, you learn, it becomes an occupation, and you become good, such as a potter. A potter learns how to do very simple clays, and then he gets into ceramics and things of that nature, very ornate stuff, and that becomes his craft, because he's actually building it with his mind, but his hands do the work. And I think that a craft is just that. If that explains it at all, it's something that you, at the end of the day, you've developed or built or shaped something that somebody could use. And that's kind of what I would say, that's what I mean as a craft. And what we do here, even though it may look gorgeous and it may be people's choice at a regatta, it's still a craft, it's not an artwork. Because it's something, artwork is something you hang on a wall or you look at or you see the hammering man and wonder what the hell happened there. But the point is, it's something somebody uses.
So right now, I'm sanding down the varnish that we put on earlier, just to make it flush. Why? Because we're filling, there were little cracks in the floor, so we're filling them with the same finish that's already on it, and then we're sanding it flush, and then we'll put 2 coats of varnish on after. And then the Captain Haddock a little bit. So okay. I don't know which one you want to go.
Let's look at the Captain Haddock. Okay. So we were just on the one. Mainly
varnishing. So sanding and then applying varnish. And then the other, can I walk? Yeah. The other project that I've done, actually you can see from right here, is a small amount of recocking the seams. So putting cotton in on the deck and then putting the rubber seam compound in on top of it, which is that black gooey mess. But those are the 2 main things that I've done on this boat. So what I feel is craft, and what I do is figuring out how to do something really well, even if it's something really tedious or monotonous, you know, whether it's sanding or varnishing or building something, there's a lot of repetition, and eventually you figure out some way to do it really well, and you're always thinking about how to do it better. So I feel like kind of that's what craft is for me. And even if it's like the tiniest little detail or the most mundane thing you're doing, is just make sure that you're doing it really well.